Scrolly bar.
Like now the scrolly bar is correct.
Yay!
Oh.
Correct scrolly bar. We love it. Oh, and we're live too.
Yeah, we're live.
Hi. I was still looking at the scrolly bar. I missed the whole little laugh thingy. Hello, there are people there. So, hi everyone. Welcome to Amber Brite Create, sponsored by Age of Radio and Cause Talk Live. Ooh. I am Amber Brite, as the title card would, insinuate. And then we have not a ghost in the shell this time, but Ashley Pippin.
But I did get my seat stolen.
Yes, and Zeke. We have to give a shout out to Zeke. I did try and have my cat in here with me. Unfortunately, she threw a giant hissy fit and was yowling at the door because she cannot be behind a closed door. She has to be on the correct side of the closed door.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. She was happy, and then I closed the door, and then she threw a giant hissy fit. So
she was done. She wasn't happy anymore.
She was like, "No, I don't feel like being on camera." In her defense, me crafting usually does mean a lot of discomfort for her. So there was one time I was making a mold, and so for those of you who haven't seen my cat, she's fluffy. She's very fluffy. She's like when Zeke gets up, Zeke is fluffy. She's the same fluffy, and she's got this huge fluffy tail. And one time I was making a mold with resin on it and stuff like that, and she brushed up against it, and I had to shave half of her tail off because it had just resin in it. So yeah, so she doesn't like when I craft. She gets
yeah, if
usually
you hang out in the room, I have to brush him, and this is just from one brushing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how much stuff the cats. Hi, Kevin over on Facebook. Thanks for joining us. We're going to watch Zeke get pampered for a little bit while we're letting people filter in. Today I have a couple of things, but the thing I have set up that you can kind of see, these are not balls of poop. This is balls of monster clay or creature clay. Creature clay? Monster clay.
Now he's angry that I stopped brushing him. He bit me.
Yeah. He's like, how dare you stop giving me attention? But I have, as those of you who are familiar with me might know, I sell a lot of Zabrak horns, which are resin creature horns. Okay, that's probably her tea. She warned me that she was going to vacate to get some tea delivered. But yeah, so I make resin creature horns, and the process of that is I usually have a clay sculpt that I then make into a mold, and then I cast from that. So I have a new set of horns that I want to make. So I am on the initial stage of, sculpting them, and then I will cast them, and then I'll make a master set. So that way in the future, I don't have to resculpt them. I can just recast off of what I had. But for a lot of my props, this is kind of the process. This is they start looking like this, little, this is my tub, my creature clay tub. So this clay is a non-drying clay. It's my favorite. I love it. Well, it's my second favorite. I'm getting really won over by the alien clay by Siobhan. I don't know. It's gray, but I like that one a lot too. But this is the one I normally use. It's a non-drying clay. It's an oil-based clay, and it's temperature dependent. So it gets hard when it's cold, and then it gets softer the warmer it is and the more you work with it. So this clay I've had for, oh my God, a decade now. It was one of the first things I bought myself.
You can completely reuse it. I've had mine for so long. As long as you store it in a cool, dry place, you can continuously reheat it. I heat it with a heat gun or my microwave.
I literally, to get mine warm enough that I was going to be able to manipulate it today, I just set it outside while I was getting ready because Arizona is as hot as a freaking oven. So it worked really well. I just put it outside, and then it was soft and pliable, and now Inside, it's getting a little bit harder, but I've already got it broken up into little nubbins that I need. But like Sam was saying, this stuff is awesome because it's like reusable. And you can see this one has a little bit of dirt in it. And I usually keep a clean bin and a dirty bin for my clay. This is the clean bin right now, so it doesn't have like that much stuff in it. But as I use it, as it gets like pieces of plaster, pieces of resin, pieces of silicone, dog hair, cat hair, people, schmutz in it, it'll get transferred into my dirty clay. And then so like half of this is in the dirty clay right now. And then once it gets to the point where it's too dirty to use, I actually heat it up on the stove and strain it and get all the schmutz out of it. Like this is literally my clay strainer. So I literally and you can see this is the dried clay, but literally I've got a pot that goes with it and I heat it up until it's soupy. And then I just pour it through the strainer and all the like gross stuff gets stuck in the strainer. And then you have clean clay at the bottom. And I like to pour mine. Oops, sorry, camera. Sorry, viewers. I like to pour mine back into ice cube trays when I remember. Sometimes I don't remember. But when I remember, I like to pour them back into ice cube trays because, like I said, this gets really hard.
Amber?
When it's, yeah?
Can you check that your audio is coming from your computer and not your camera? Because I think it switched.
Oh, it probably because we turned it on. Hold on, let me do my settings. Yeah, it went to the wrong one.
Okay, testing now. Do I sound better?
Yay! Woohoo!
I need to figure out how to stop that. Every time I turn my friggin' webcam in, it does that. So
I think it always wants to because it tries to default to mine too.
Yeah. I am glad you noticed that. We didn't get all the way through.
Well, you were talking, and I'm like, it sounds kind of muddled and weird. Let's just double check.
I am cosplaying Charlie Brown's teacher. Okay, that's much better. Yay, awesome. Thank you, Kevin, for confirming that. And thank you, Sam, for noticing that. I've got to remember to double check that. But
sound is like the one thing that I tend to pay more attention to.
Usually I sit down and I run like a camera check and a mic check, and I did do that this time, but I did it before I plugged in the web camera. So
are you eating chocolate or durian? She likes durian snacks. I have to ask.
Chocolate.
Okay, chocolate.
Though I do love durian, and you guys can't smell it from there, so I would absolutely be eating durian right now. It tastes like Fruity Pebbles and stuff like that. So
durian tastes like onions to me.
Well, that's because you're weird.
But I also wonder if it's because cilantro tastes like soap to me.
Oh yeah, I mean that is a gene that affects your taste buds. So I wonder if it's like you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So Kevin says durian is very strong. Yeah. One time we had a friend come from Malaysia, and he brought me an entire bag of durian puffs. And oh my God, I still feel bad. We were at the con, and I was so excited. I didn't think. I just opened the bag and started eating. And literally everyone in like a friggin' 40, 50 foot radius was like, what is that smell? And I was like, oops. I like squirreled them away. I'm like, I don't know. That's so weird. Who would do something so rude?
You're
and
like, oh, one of the
silly?
toilets must have overflowed. Oops.
Yeah. So weird. Don't know why that happened. Okay, these are so big. Okay, so this is the set that I'm working on. And you can see there's 2 really big horns. There's 2 like small horns. And then there's like 5 tiny horns. So what I've done initially, because the easiest way for me to ensure that my horns are all the same size is if I start with the same amount of clay for each one. Like you can just like you can start it and like eyeball it as you go, And if that works for you, that works for you. I find that it doesn't work for me. So I know if I have 2 horns that I want to be roughly the same size, then I start with clay of roughly the same size, and just by nature, they're going to be roughly the same size. But looking at this, I think I need to cut down. So these big horns, and I've got a tiny little fruit fly that's pissing me off, are about twice the size of the medium ones. So that looks good. And then these are about half the size. So I'm going to take a little bit away from each of these, but yeah, like monster clay, creature clay, I do not remember which one it is, but like it's
like monster clay.
Monster clay. Okay. I wonder where I'm getting creature clay from.
There is a creature clay, but it's a little bit more gray. That seems to be a little bit more brown. Is it like really brown?
Yes.
Monster clay is like super brown. That's like monster clay.
It looks like poop.
And you have to heat it up, which creature clay isn't. I don't think you have to heat it up. I'm pretty sure.
See, I like monster clay for the fact that it is hard at cold temperatures and then soft at warm temperatures, because then it kind of allows you to determine how hard it is. So for those of you who have never sculpted before, soft clay is really good for moving it quickly, getting good shapes quickly, and getting like a smooth surface.
Mm-hmm.
Hard clay is good for carving in details and getting a consistent textured surface. So monster clay being softer when it's warmer means that you can warm it up, move very quickly, and then as it gets kind of cold, or you put it in the freezer or whatever, moderation like that, you can texture it better. I'm going to have to turn that on silent. That is going to distract the crap out of me. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I've got these little doohickeys, and then I just wanted to show off my clay handling sculpting kit, I guess. And let me actually turn it around so it's. Oh yeah, this is the other stuff I'm in love with. Alien clay. Alien clay comes in different hardnesses. So like this one's hard. It does get a little softer when it's warmer, but it's not the range that monster clay is. But it's really nice. Like if you want like really good detailed textured pieces, I'm really enjoying the alien clay. But these are all my tools. These are all just the clay tools that you would expect, and then perhaps some clay tools that you wouldn't expect. All of them can be used to get different textures or to move clay in different ways. Some of them are broken because I'm horrible with my tools. And then I have some other stuff here, like this is my little rolling pin. And then this is my clay cutter. It's a cheese spreader. You use what works for you, and this works for me. So, and then more of my tools, including a couple more that are broken and bent. And I should probably look at getting myself a new clay tool set. Oh, I was looking for that. I didn't know that was in here. This is a screwdriver. This is not clay. It's just a screwdriver.
You know what? Sometimes you need a screwdriver to punch a hole into the clay, right?
That's what this little tool is for.
Okay, your brain really wanted that screwdriver.
Maybe I was like, it needs to be of a certain circumference, so it needed to be that screwdriver.
You needed a detail that looked like it was a screw, and you just wanted to push the center in. Like you can do that too if you're looking to print into clay. Use existing objects. Like I've done that so many times. I'll take
That's what these are.
Through. Yeah, it's great.
So these are 2 pieces of pleather that have, I don't know if you can see on this camera because it's kind of crappy, but they have really good leather texture to them. So, and this one too has a really good leather texture to it. So these are a couple, and I've got a bunch more. They're just not in this kit right now, that like I'll heat up the surface and then press these into it, or even just, take my clay. This is my mold making clay right here. This is a very soft clay. So even when it's cold, it's very soft. But like for this one, I can literally just press it against, and like, again, you can't see because this web camera is kind of shitty, but like it takes the texture very well. So I use pleather, I use leather pieces. Okay.
Put the piece back up here, and I can, yeah, you can see some of the
other side.
Other side. I was like, that's hair, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Texture. Yeah.
This is also dirty clay, so this clay needs to be cleaned, which is, I don't know why it's in here. This is not supposed to be for clay storage, but crazy things happen.
Sometimes
and then
I have to put stuff away.
Right. And then I have various things, like this is a little like round thing. If I'm going to sculpt in a stud, I might, just use this in the sculpt instead of like trying to sculpt a perfect stud. I'm shocked that there are no googly eyes in here, because googly eyes are absolutely, if I'm sculpting something that has like little rivets in it, googly eyes, like I just press them in and go. So, but yeah, that's my clay shaping kit, and you might see me use some of these tools. I might also be too busy talking and not actually get to the point where we texture. So gosh only knows. Kevin says, how often can you reuse different types of clay? There's a couple of types of clay. There's water-based clay, which is like the stuff that you use in like pottery. That's the slip stream, like the stuff that you like, and then you have to fire it in a kiln.
It's wet clay. It's like wet clay.
What?
Wet. We call it wet clay because it needs water.
Yeah. And use water to like soften it and get it going and stuff like that.
And that's why the kiln works, is it pulls all the water out of it and it hardens.
Mm-hmm. And that's essentially, as soon as it dries, it's dry. Oil-based clay is endlessly reusable, essentially.
Or wax-based as well.
Yeah, wax-based. Actually, I think that this is wax-based, not oil-based.
Monster clay is wax-based. I think Alien is real. I think the Alien one is real.
Yeah, so wax-based and oil-based is basically endlessly reusable. I'm sure it'll reach an end lifespan, but like I said, this tub is 10 years old, and I have sculpted, this will be my 12th set of Zabrak horns. I've also sculpted hair goggles and Cinderella shoe slipper or shank, Cinderella shoe shank. And then badges, and then Ahsoka's like beads and stuff like that.
I have a sculpt that's just been sitting on a shelf of Wasabi Ginger from Big Hero 6 that I sculpted like 6 years ago out of monster clay, and it's just still chilling there.
Yeah, I've got a porg. I think the other half of the monster clay is on the porg that I sculpted when episode 7 came out, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna make those because they're gonna be so hard to find. And then Disney made it their flagship creature, and it was literally everywhere. And I was like, oh well, never mind. But I sculpted the entire thing. I just never did anything with it. But it's literally right up there. And as soon as I get around to it, I'll pull the clay off and reuse it for something else. So I do lose it over time, because like when you make a mold and you pull the clay out, some clay is sometimes left in like the crevices and stuff like that. Like when I do my scales and stuff like that, if I make like little bumps, almost always the clay doesn't come out of the bumps. And then when I'm like picking it out or cleaning it out or whatever, I usually lose a little bit of clay. So I think just by attrition, I'm going to end up not having, like I'm going to end up losing this eventually. But like I said, I'm 10 years and I've still got half of it workable. So see, because it was a full thing when I got it. And there's some, like I said, in the porg and some in a dirty bin. It does look like there.
Like,
it really does.
Really melted chocolate that you put a bunch of peanuts into.
I had it left out on my back porch, and we had a guy who was there for the air conditioning unit, and he actually nearly fell over because he was trying not to step on it because he didn't want to step in the poop. And I was just like, oh, well, it's not poop, but also I'm glad you didn't step in it. So I felt bad, but also like kind of glad he didn't step in it, because then I would have lost that entire chunk of clay. Like it would have been in his shoes. But so going back to my reference, you can see that the horn has a nice curve to it. When I cast my Zabrak horns, I cast them flat. So I'm going to have the flat right there. So it's going to kind of look like when I have it on this, it's going to kind of be pointing along the length of the plastic thingy. So when I'm sculpting it, I have to just keep in mind that, you know, how it's oriented on the person and how I'm orienting it for my casting are different. So that's one thing. The other thing is to kind of keep in mind, like what texturing I want to do. I don't like going super granular on the Zabrak horns. I find that it tends to make them look like they're mistakes instead of nicely textured. So I tend to go a little bit more subtle on the texturing. As far as like, I won't do like big, like grainy bits or anything like that, just because like in my experience, that doesn't actually translate. Like when you see them in person, like the you know, movie ones and stuff like that, they have the benefit of like, you know, professional makeup artists putting them on, and then like, you know, like post-production, making sure that they look good, and lighting and control and makeup and everything like that. So they've got a lot of benefits that most like cosplayers don't have. So I just want to make sure that I am constructing these for cosplayers and not for movie sets, because most people I don't think are going and using these on movie sets. So
no.
I mean, I could be wrong.
Well, even so too, like most people like, because you tend to build out a little bit of like where the ridges of the face where it connects to.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that, because otherwise I'd have to use like encapsulated silicone or vinyl to try and encapsulate it and make it look like it's attached to my skin. But you create that nice ridge, so there really isn't, other than like if you have a really steep curve to your head, you're gonna have to build around it no matter what. But in general, they lay pretty well.
Yeah, and I just really like the idea that once you get my horns and get them adjusted to your face, like all you have to do is plop them on and go. And it's not constantly having to like readjust them, reseal them, reset them or anything like that. Once they're set to your head, you could just, and then zoom off. And I mean, it's kind of a bad like selling model, right? Because I've got a couple customers who still wear their horns after like 10 years. And they still tag me, and I'm just like, you know, if those were latex, you would have had to buy like 3 more sets from me. But, you know, I build for longevity, whether or not that's like the capitalist hellscape smart move.
Girl, I already told you, the minute you build latex-free stuff, I'm there. I'm there. Latex-free, Laku, I'm ready.
I'm just looking for like, well, I'm going to be doing silicone. So that'll happen. I've got a plan for it going forward. I would really love a latex option that worked well. People can remember that there for a time I was using this thing called, it was Creature Cast. That's where I got the creature thing. So it was a latex-free alternative. It was a rubber. It was called Creature Cast. And there for a hot moment, I was using that in conjunction with my latex stuff as a replacement for latex. Let me show you why I stopped. Sam, if you want to make me bigger. This is a latex headpiece. That's about 5 years old, maybe 6. At the same time, I made some Creature Cast ones.
They turn so yellow.
Yeah. They don't have longevity. Like they just don't. Like look how
really
bad that
well
is.
For like apocalyptic looks though, because my brother used it on his power armor, but that works well because it starts to look like it's rusting over time.
Yeah. You know, and like it's just frustrating that latex, I mean, you can look at the difference in them. Like they were the same color when I cast them up. They were like the beige color, and they were kept in the same area. They've been in my craft room the entire time. And this is just what Creature Cast did. So like, it sucks because like I really wanted to use Creature Cast, but like I can't, like, I don't want to sell you this and have it turn into this 2 years later. Like, I want you to have this.
If you leave it unpainted because you want that kind of pale look, it's not going to stay that way. You're going to have to eventually paint it.
Yep.
But I will say the one benefit of the Creature Cast rubber is it works well on armor. It helps armor last so much longer. Yeah. It helps foam armor go from 2 to 3 years time to like almost 8.
Yeah, and like this is still usable. Like it's got good flexibility. Like it still has good stretch. You can put it on. Like it's not unusable.
Like, I'll take it.
Yeah, if you want it, you just do a darker color. Like that's all. Like, and probably like a good headband to cover this stuff. Yeah. So
I like
if you want this one band, you can just have it.
Then I try to like turn it into something magical.
Yeah. That's the problem with being a maker is sometimes I get beep holes and I'm just like, what do I do with these? Like I can do stuff with them, but I'm not going to. All right. Junior says, hi, Amber. I hope you're okay. I'm sorry. Late is my uncle's birthday today. Happy birthday to your Uncle Junior. And you are A-okay that you're late. You're here. Matt says, ooh, laku. Yeah. Hi, Matt. Hey, cutie. I love the melted Jabba looking plushie behind you. Creepy. Oh, yeah. That's my Jabba hood. Ugh. Because he was on a mannequin, but the mannequin is currently being used. So he's just chilling. He's just chillaxing with us. Where's his hands? Jabba, give me your stupid hands. Where are your hands?
He's like, no, I don't want to be worn anymore. You already took me out. You already destroyed me. His hands are really fighting you.
All right, well, I give up, but like.
It's a cape. You should check out our website. It's on her website.
Yeah. So for my Hut Slayer Leia. So he's just gonna chill out back there. Go back there. Go back there. It's one of those things that like I get these ideas in my head where I'm like, I'm gonna build this cool thing, and then I build it, and then I stand there looking at it like, the fuck am I gonna put you? Like, what am I going to do with a giant Jabba hood that can't be folded up because, like, this is all latex. Yeah. Like, I can't fold this. This is the shape that it is. And he's also, like, he's huge. So, like, the hell do I do with him? So he just creeps in the background now.
You mount him on the wall, or put it like a rug, but it's a wall rug instead of a floor rug.
Oh my god! I've been meaning to do something with my door. I should get like a hanger for the door, so he can just live on the back of the door.
That would be awesome.
He'll just be like creeping from the background. But yeah, this is like pro tip: when you build a cosplay, stop for a hot second and think about how you're going to then store it later. Because if you're like me, I've got I think I'd lost count at like 60 something cosplays right now. Yeah, and that doesn't even count.
Ones I don't wear in a bucket now, and I'm gonna slowly but surely get rid of them this year.
See, I did a whole like clean out. I cleaned out 30 of them, but so many of them are like either like super niche that I'm like, no one's ever gonna buy this. Or I'm like, I can't sell Jabba. What if I want to wear him?
Jabba's amazing. Okay, we should just.
Thank you.
Jabba should just have every con you go to, just bring him, and just even if it's not a character that wears him, just have other people wear him.
Oh my god! just bring him to the con and be like, "Who wants to wear Jabba today?"
People walk across, and then the next person walks, and it looks like it's a whole cycle. You should do that, but everyone's wearing Jabba. That would be great.
I thought very hard about incorporating him into my Mando, but the Mando mercs have a rule against gore, and that includes wearing trophies of sentient species. And unfortunately, Jabba counts as a sentient species, so I can't wear him on my Mando. But I thought about it very hard. I was like,
you could wear him to events that aren't for the.
That's true. And I've got a Togruta Mando coming up that's not going to be official, and maybe like because that hood's big. I bet it'll fit over the Montrals, and maybe she'll just wear Java around. So,
yes.
But like speaking of storage, like I'm gonna tell on myself so hard right now. Do you want to see the price of being a Leku maker? It's that's half of them. That is half of my current Leku selection. All of those are either spoken for or like this one are like B pulls that I can't sell. And that's like half. Like it's bad. It's bad. Like, because like what it's just a bed full of Leku. Like,
you know, it just keeps the bed warm for when someone wants to come visit you. That's
it's always awkward. I have to go clean the heads off of your bed so you can sleep. So Pixie says cosplay warehouse storage. Oh my God. It is my dream.
That's my next job. Oh my gosh. I need to create a warehouse for cosplay storage. All right. I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. And then maybe like have the option that people can like rent out their costumes, because like I would be fine with renting out some of my costumes. I'm just like too lazy to like advertise that.
Kiosk that if you go to this bay, these costumes are available, and you select this one and it unlocks it with a key or something. Yeah.
You could just like night before cosplay or a con, you're like, oh, my cosplay's not going to work. I'm just going to go pick up one from the cosplay warehouse.
And I was getting really good at getting my cosplay cold, right? And then K-pop Demon Hunters comes out and disrupts my schedule, right? So things like that happen too.
Yeah. I was like, I'm in love with this movie, but like there's nothing about this that's going to like that's a good idea for me to engage in, because I'm a slow creator. By the time I get around to it, like the hype is going to be mostly died. And then Sam was like, do you want to do it with me? And I was like, well, fuck, now I'm doing it. So y'all are here for the surprise announcement. I'm doing Mira. She's going to be our roomie. And then Jinx is going to be our Zoe. It's going to be dope as hell. I am so excited. I ordered my wig.
In my head, I don't have. It's going to have to get glued. It's the only way it's going to stay. Because her hair is so long.
Yeah. You and Jess are going to have to figure out to do, because I know Stella Chu, her roomie wig, she used like literally like 100 bobby pins to keep it in. And I'm like, Sam doesn't have bobby pins. What's Sam going to do? Like,
I
had a cross-aid.
No, I have a silicone band, and then I have Pros-Aid. So I think the two of those combined, because the silicone band, like nothing shifts with that.
Okay. So. That's good to know. Yeah, I've got Mira's wig coming. I splurged on a fancy one from Wig is Fashion. It's going to be one of the most expensive wigs I've ever bought, but I'm very excited about it because it's like this color pink too. So like when I'm bad and I've like let my hair grow out really bad, I'll just put that wig on and you all won't know how lazy I've been.
Like I haven't shaved recently, you can tell. My hair's coming in.
I like it. You're going very like Jack from Mass Effect right now. So,
well, hey, and maybe when I get back to I'm getting my muscles back and working on it. But maybe when I get back to my fitness level, I'll be like, all right, let's go. I'm doing Jack.
I will not be able to talk around you. I'm
gonna have to wear one of those suits though, because like those. I'm sorry. She either has the smallest nipples in the world, or like I don't understand the magic of that.
I don't know. Glue is the only way. That's the only thing I can think of.
Areola, there's no way.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Anyway, that's another
Dixie thing. Says all you need to do is also handle stuff like shipping, and then people can travel for cons without having to worry about logistics. There you go, Sam. You're just gonna be like the cosplay like godmother going forward.
I mean, just cosgistics. There you go. You know,
cosgistics.
And
I love it.
I have honestly, I could just go get certified in project management. I have over 850 hours in project management, which means I could do something like that. You know, I guess that's maybe going to be my side hustle.
Dude, my sister is a project manager and she tells me like horror stories all the time. And I'm like, I can barely manage myself, much less like myself and other people. Like project managers are like magicians to me. But yeah, going back to like the actual sculpting, I'm just going to start working the shape into my little poop here. And because my cutest little nugget, it is dangerous though, because I've got my chocolate right next to them. So what do we want to bet that at one point I pick up one of these?
Here, let me put on that music that you liked. Maybe it'll keep you focused to make sure that you don't accidentally eat it. There you go.
All right, the chill jam, the lo-fi bop. Wow. Here. But yeah, because this is hard, and you can see like it doesn't really change shape very easily, I'm just kind of using my thumb to draw it into the rough shape that I want. And I'm looking for one of these. So it's going to be kind of like shaped. I have in the past sculpted these on balls, like these I would sculpt on like ping pong balls or on a mannequin head. Right now my mannequin head has, oh my God, come here. Stop being so dramatic. She's got Sith prosthetics on her. Yeah. Product reveal. At some point I'm doing the Sith Pure Bloods. That's gonna be my
cool.
My Zabrak coming out. But yeah, so she's a little incognito right now. But like if you are sculpting something that you know has to be like it's gonna be on your head or it's gonna be on another shape, like you can go ahead and sculpt them on a corresponding shape. I just at this point have done this so many times that I kind of know how to compensate for how I'm going to be molding them. So as you can see, I'm just kind of pulling it into the shape I want. I'm just kind of working it. And because this wax-based clay heats up as you work with it, the surface is getting warm, but the core isn't. So it's allowing me to get a nice, you can see a nice smooth surface to it without losing a lot of the structural integrity. So we're just gonna cut. And I'm a big fan of working on both sides at the same time. So like I'm gonna do most of the rough shaping for this side and then do the corresponding one for the other side. And then once I have the rough shape, because one of the things that you're going to find that when you're sculpting happens is that when you are staring at a piece and you're staring at it and you're staring at it and you're staring at it, and then you leave and you come back after not having seen it for a while, you go, oh, that's lopsided, or, oh, I don't actually like how that looks. So I like to, when I'm sculpting something, get it to the rough shape, and then I put it away. Like I literally put it completely out of sight. I'll put a towel over it or put it in a box or something like that, completely out of sight, and put it away for like 2 to 3 days. And then I pull it back out and I look at it. And if I don't have that immediate, oh, I don't like this, or like, oh, I do like this, like that's that fresh eyes kind of resets your brain. Because once you stare at the same thing for enough time, like you stop seeing it, if that makes sense. Like you stop, you just like, you know it too well that you don't see it. So you can see that's kind of the shape I'm looking for. And because it's going to be cast flat, you can see this is going to be where it's cast. And that way, when it goes on the person, it has the right shape. So one of those things that I learned from many years of doing this versus the first time I did it, when I made them flat and I sculpted them like this. Like I sculpted them like sticking straight out. And then when I put them on my skin, they stuck this way instead of like going up. And I was like, oh, that was not actually what I wanted. So now I've got kind of the rough shape of this one. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for this one. A little poops. I think I can zoom in a little bit. Hold on. This is going to be a little weird. Wait, is it this? Oh, yeah. Whoops. Yeah, good. Good. All right, better. We'll zoom in. A little zoom action. Andrew says, hi. Hi, Andrew. How you doing? Sam's here too. She's ghosting the shelling though. Probably because she had tea? Yeah. You had tea delivered, right?
Yeah, I had tea delivered, and then Ashley's messaging me in emergency because apparently her flight got canceled, so she's stuck, and they're not giving her a hotel. So I'm trying to help her.
Oh no!
Yeah. Hi Andrew. Hi everyone.
Is she stuck in Anaheim?
No, she's stuck in Cleveland.
Cleveland?
Yeah, because she went to the cosplay world, and then she went to New York, and then I think she traveled around a bit. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Cleveland is a place to be stuck, that's for sure. I want you to come to Washington again. Miss you. I would love to get out to Emerald City again. It just keeps not happening because I was having some personal issues, and then I got really behind on my life, and then it took a long time for me to get caught up on my life again. And we are just getting back into the con scene now. I'm hoping to get more into it, but it's going to depend on how the second half of this year goes. Because the second half of this year, I have just a little bit. I have a bunch of conventions, but it's really going to depend on if my head allows it. Because I've been suffering from migraines. They kind of started when I turned 35. I'm now 40. They've gotten really worse, so I am waiting for them to decide to chill out or for me to get them under control. Because last time I went to Emerald City, I think it was like pre-pandemic, I actually ended up missing most of Friday because I got a migraine and we had to go back to the hotel. And it feels bad to like drag my husband halfway across the world and then be like, okay, now sit in the hotel because I don't want you to talk to me or touch me or anything like that. Andrew says, I've been getting injections for my headaches. Yeah, I might have to start doing that too, but mine are so intermittent, it's hard. But okay, so you can see I'm examining these a little bit. They're a little lopsided. I think they're also a little bit big for what I want. So it's about an eyeball length. Yeah, they're just a little bit big. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of take them down just a little bit, kind of working them. And like I said, I am trying to keep them the same shape and keep them consistent because once I do this initial rough shape, I'm going to put them away like I was saying. Oh, other tricks, because everyone is handed, right? Like you're right-handed, you're left-handed. You might be ambidextrous, but you'll still have like a dominant hand or a dominant like side of your vision. So one of the things that can help you with symmetry, especially if you're trying to make something that's symmetrical, is take a picture of your sculpture and then on your phone, flip it and see what it looks like. And if it looks like it's like leaning, then you know that your sculpture is slightly slanted and your brain is just compensating for it. So I always, especially when I do like leku and stuff like that, I always take pictures of the leku and flip it to make sure that I don't have one that's just like, kind of awkward. So, all right. You guys can see that they're just a little bit. So I have built in just a little bit of directionality as well, because these are going to be one for one side and one for the other. I want them to mimic the flow of the human's head. And that means giving them just a little bit of directionality as they go on. So, all right. So there's the first two done. And I like them. I think this one's a little bit thicker than the other one. And one of the things that will happen is I will blend these down, and like Sam was saying, I tend to make like ridges towards the bottom, so that way it kind of like already mimics that kind of the natural like of it going into the skin. So I will try and make these have a nice little like divot along the end, but I usually don't do that in the sculpture. I usually do that with hot glue. So like when I glue these, so these will go on this for me to make a mold. This is the mold base. And I will hot glue and then squish them so the hot glue beads out just a little bit. It creates like a nice little like ridge, like little bubble. And then that way that can go in the mold as part of the mold. And when it comes out and you put it on your head, it's a little bit like, you know, like a ridge of your skin coming out. So it helps it kind of blend in a little bit. If you are a professional makeup artist, you would sand that off and then like do like latex or whatever to blend it in. And you can do that with my horns too. But like I said, I try and make stuff that's usable for everybody, including people who are not on a movie set, which I think is most people. So Andrew says, I went to my first con in I think 3 or 4 years. Yeah, it's weird going back to conventions after you've like taken a break from them. You get in and you're just like, oh, what do I do? Like for me, PFF has been really weird because like I used to go from open to close. I was there the entire con. Like no matter how much I was suffering, I was there the entire con. And now we tend to roll up about an hour or two before our panel and then do our panel and then like lark off again. Like it's just, you know, how we've started doing particularly that convention, mostly because it's so big and so overwhelming. So let's see these guys. Let me come down just a little bit more. Can you come down just a little bit more, or are you going to cause issues? Okay. You good? Move things here? Yeah? Here? Okay. And you go up just a little bit. Yeah. There we go. That's more square. Okay, cool. Okay, that's much better. So you can see I've got the metal ones pretty much nicely roughed out. I really like this shape. So like I said, I'm not going to be doing like the fine details on these, but let me go ahead and show you how I would do the fine details. And I'll probably like keep it because like I said, this is like my 12th time sculpting Sabrak horns. I tend to know what I like and what works. So going into my con kit, let me find the ones that I like. Okay, the ones that I tend to use are this one. Ooh, I want the roundy one. Oh no, wait, I broke the roundy one. I can't. Oh wait, here's this roundy one. And then this one, and then this one. Oh, and also this one. Okay, so these are the tools I can, and keep in mind, I'm all self-taught. So like, you might be like professionally taught and looking at me and going, those aren't the tools you should be using at all. And you're probably right, because I have not had any training. It's mostly just like me trial and error doing what works, and what works are these tools. Jessica says hi. Hi, Jess. Everyone say hi to the Jinx cosplay. So if I am working on my horn and I'm adding striations, I'm going to work from order of largest to smallest. So I'm going to add on the larger kind of striation texturing, graduating all the way down to the smaller. This clay is still pretty warm, so the risk of me leaving a fingerprint in this clay is kind of high. So I'm going to go ahead and do some texturing right now, but I want you all to know that normally I would stick these in the freezer for about like half an hour before doing this, because one of the first sets I ever did, and you can still see it if you ever buy one of my sets and you see this, you're going to remember this moment. But there's one set that I have of Zabrak horns where I sold them, and there is a perfect fingerprint in like the base of one of them because I was working it too warm.
Yes,
and
I can steal your credit card information.
What?
I was like, yes, I can steal your credit card information from your thumbprint now. Let's go.
I don't think it's a full thumbprint, and I usually hand it off because it irritates me. So Sam's just gonna have to order all of my Zabrak horns and see if she can figure out which one it is on. But yeah, there's one of my Zabrak horns that has just like a fingerprint, and every time I paint it, I'm just like, ah! So I usually try and freeze these so that way when I go to texture them, I'm not gonna have any fingerprint. But I'm just going to start adding large striations in.
And that's where it starting to cool off already is helpful, because it's already, you know, when she was manipulating it, it's starting to cool. But that's good. She needs it to cool so she can add more of that detail.
Exactly. And when it gets cool, you'll see these little crumblies. These become more like little sandpaper bits that I can just kind of brush off, as opposed to when it's wet and it's goopy, like those are all like sticky, you know?
And when it's wet, if you accidentally squeeze too hard, you just destroy all the hard work you've done. So,
yeah. That's why I like working with them when they're cold, because like Sam said, if I have my finger here and I squeeze too hard, like this is just warm enough that I could remove the point from that. Like this is a very dull point, but if I had a sharper point, it's very easy to like collapse it just from like normal holding position. But I'm just going from the base to the top, and I'm doing different sizes, different pressures. And basically what you want is to create ridges, highs and lows, that later when you paint, you will be able to catch those with your light, with your paint, and manipulate the light. So you can see I've got some slightly deeper ones here. You can, even on my like crappy webcam, you can see that it already helps catch the light, and that's what we're doing. And you know, like the nice thing about organic stuff is that like organic stuff is never, or is not usually well put together. It's not usually like precise. It's very chaotic. So you can go without like a specific plan, and that chaos is part of your organic structure. So I'm just kind of, all right, so you can see I've got some nice broad striations in there. And now I want to go in and add some slightly finer ones. And I'm going to use this, I think. Or do I just want to keep using this? I think I actually am just going to use this. So these are wood and steel. I think it's actually bamboo. Like the bamboo is my favorite to work with clay, because I feel like it's hard enough to do what I want it to without so hard that it's like ruining the clay. So you can see I started with pressure, brought it up towards the top, and eased off on the pressure as I went up. And that's going to give you kind of these weighted ones down near the bottom. And I'm just smoothing out any ridges that I don't like. Trying to make it smooth, trying to make it consistent. You don't want to like do a sharp line like every like centimeter or something like that. You want to like vary it a little bit, because again, going back to it, like, you know, organic stuff is chaotic. So I might do a half one there, and then right next to it do a longer one. And I'm just going to widen it at the bottom a little bit. you also want to pay attention to your reference, because your reference is going to show you what it looks like. And like, this is a grainy image, but I've looked up like clear images of it, and it is pretty striated at the bottom. You can kind of see a little bit better here. It's pretty striated at the bottom, but smoother at the top. So that's kind of what I'm going with, is that I'm kind of letting the top be smoother and letting the striations be a little bit stronger at the bottom.
And that actually makes sense naturally, because it's straining to come out of the skin. It's straining to be pushed forward. So it's actually meeting resistance more at the bottom, whereas the top has had weathering and life happening, right? So, yeah.
And also, like, if you, like the Zabraks and stuff like that, their horns grow from when they're young to old. And when you're young, your horns and stuff like that are softer. They're made of like softer, like keratin and stuff like that. So like you're not going to have as much striations at the early stages, because they're just naturally softer. Okay.
Little did everybody know there's also going to be somewhat of like a biology/science lesson.
Right? Dude, the amount of time that I spend thinking about the biology of Star Wars aliens, like,
it's kind of critical to your job.
It is, like, thinking about it, thinking about how things are going to go. And so what I'm doing now is I'm adding some mid-interruptions. And what I mean by that is, if you kind of see like this main line right here, you see how it's like nice and smooth. I'm going to add a mid-interruption to give it more kind of character. Because again, going back to what Sam was saying, like, this is all growing with the person and going through wearing and use, and being hit on the bathroom mirror when you're like trying to put on your face makeup and stuff like that. So okay, I think that's pretty good. I like that a lot. Okay. But yeah, so you can see that is kind of a basic way of doing striations in the horns. And then if you want to kind of interrupt it even a little bit more, you can take like a wire brush like this and then just rough up the surface. It is not going to look as good right now because this clay is not cold enough for this. But what it's going to do, if I freeze this clay and then come back with the wire brush, it creates the little like micro striations in it. But like, this clay is too warm. It's not gonna look as good. But like, yeah, I really like that. So see how nice and smooth and shiny that is? Well, I'm going to add in some micro striations.
Another reason too to do that is it makes it easier to have more things to grip the skin when you're gluing it to your skin, and it also adheres more naturally to any like convex surface. So for those of you who are trying to sculpt stuff for yourself, or who are interested in understanding why Amber does that, she does it because if she doesn't, it might not sit on. It won't look like a horn protruding out. It'll look like something sitting on top. So that creates more texture. Plus, the shadows they generate help hide where the seam is too.
Yeah, and also like it plays into the paint job too. Whereas if you have like a nice, smooth, like perfectly cartoonish like finish, and then you try and do like a really realistic like paint job on it, it just kind of looks a little weird. So like, I like to make sure that my horns are properly. I'm gonna spread this out a little bit more. I'm sorry, anyone who's watching. Andrew says, so why is Darth Maul red, Savage orange, but Aiken, Kolar, and Eathcock more natural skin color? I know why it
is. So Darth Maul is red because he's a Dathomirian Zabrak.
I like how Sam was like, Amber, you have a question, but don't worry, I'm going to answer it.
I'm going to answer it. I'm excited. You sculpt, I answer. Let's go. No, Dathomir, right? Because he's Dathomirian, so he's been exposed to like the highest levels of like dark energy. But
Dathomir is a dark side corrupted planet.
Right. But the Zabrak come from Iridonia. And most of them do have, I think it's like from like a peachy color to like a really dark orange.
Yeah, like a beigey color. Yeah, so basically, Darth Maul and Savage have witches that are messing with them. So that's why they're weird colored.
And I think the reason that they both don't have hair is because they've been exposed to such high levels of darkness. If you've noticed, a lot of the characters that are very Sith-like typically don't have much hair. At least ones that have progressed a long time in it. Ones that have recently turned, not so much, but ones that have been in it for a while. Apparently it causes male pattern baldness.
Sam, do you have something to tell us about your recent fall to the dark side?
Yeah, it was unintentional, and it's called eczema, and I blame the dang witches. I'm going to see my dermatologist. Maybe they can help me go back to the light side.
Your dermatologist will restore balance to the Force.
Right. Oh man, dermatologist is secretly a Grey Jedi.
I love it.
But no, I think that's the funny thing too, is a lot of this information got lost when Disney took over because they killed a lot of what was canon and threw it into like the legacy. And the legacy is where a lot of this information is. If you want to know more about like the aliens, I love Wikipedia because it takes both. It doesn't discriminate about what's Disney versus what's Lucas.
Yeah, and it's interesting what's been canonized and what hasn't, because the Dathomirian witches are now like main media canon because they were in Ahsoka. So Dathomirian witches, Night Sisters, those are canon, but we have yet to hear Darth Maul's background as a Dathomirian. So Darth Maul, while also film / LucasArts current canon, he may or may not still have the same origin of being from Dathomir. So
yeah, because he was one that was actually born on Dathomir, but his brother wasn't. He was taken from Iridonia because I recall there was something. There have been I think there were 2 or 3 different backgrounds for him, but it was that he was either born in Iridonia and immediately taken away and exposed from like infancy to Dathomir, or his family had him there because the Night Sisters were considered like really strong, and if you had a kid strong in the Force, like you had your baby there, you left it, you're like, I'm abandoning my child.
Yeah, they basically got to keep any kids they wanted.
Yep.
So one of the things I'm adding now is I'm just adding a few little like natural bumps and divots to it. These horns are not very, let me see if I can see. These horns are not very granular in that way, so I'm only going to do a couple, but it does kind of help make the horn feel a little bit less cartoony and more grounded in realism. And like, we haven't talked about the importance of looking at like going to the source material. If you are trying to sculpt something in particular, like you want it to like look like a horn, if you want it to look like skin, if you want it to look like, leather, like go either look at reference photos of that thing or go get that actual thing. Like if you want it to look like wood bark, like go get a piece of bark and study it and like have it next to you so that when you're sculpting, you can kind of go from that. And it's the same with horns. Like you can go and get like horns and have like just your like your guide right there, right in front of you. Andrew says, is there anything that determines Twi'lek color? Yes, it is your parentage that determines your Twi'lek colors.
Yeah, I mean, fans have been talking about like they noticed that some of it might be environmental, but I think it was just pure genetics.
Yeah. So kind of like hair color, that like green Twi'leks are most likely to have a green kid, red Twi'leks are most likely to have a red or Rutian kid, stuff like that. So
yep. And Andrew's right. I don't have Sith-colored eyes. I was thinking about it. I was like, hey, maybe that's why I make the perfect roomie, because I'm half demon, half bald, but I have light eyes.
I like how Sam's like, I'm main character because I'm bald. And we're like, yeah.
Bald. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Let's wear the longest hair possible because I'm bald. Let's go.
But yeah.
I just have envy of hair envy. That is so cool.
So which do you think is going to paint up nicer? A lot of...
Everyone's definitely way too 2D, and you need it to be a lot more.
And if that's the look you're going for, that's the look you're going for. If I wanted this one to be smoother, I would probably sit here and spend time just kind of smoothing it with my fingers. I tend to leave my roughs kind of bumpy.
That one reminds me of Homestuck, whereas the other one actually reminds me of Star Wars.
Yeah. So if I wanted to generate to bring in more Homestuck, I would sit here and work and work and work and work and work. And then if you hit this with heat, it's going to melt just the surface and make it very glossy. So that's another thing you can do too. If you want to create a really glossy surface, you just lightly take your heat gun and just like do quick passes, and you're trying to melt just the surface of the clay without melting or softening the inside. So if you wanted like a really like glossy, smooth look to your horn, that's how you would do it. Sit and work it and work it and work it. You can also freeze them and sand them. So like if you really want like a glossy finish, you can freeze this so it's nice and hard, and then I would wet sand it. So take like 400 grit or something like that, and then just like dunk it in water and just like sit here and like wet sand it until it was like nice and smooth and the shape you want. But yeah, that's basically like, as you can see, that's like a pretty simple sculpt job. I mean, it's also like the 12th time I've done Zabrak horn, so I've kind of gotten how I do it down to kind of a science for me. So that's kind of part of it. What I'll do from here is put this in the freezer so it's nice and firm, and then it goes onto a board like this. I have a bunch of just like plastic boards that I use for making my molds. So it'll go, I'll take and I'll put like a bead of hot glue around the outside and then stick it to the board. And then once I have them all arranged, loop, whatever, like that, I will build my walls, usually out of just like cardboard. Like literally, I usually just like take box sides and then just like hot glue them around. And then I will create my block mold from there. Once the block mold has set, I put them in the freezer again, so that way the clay is hard again, and then I can usually just pop them right out without any loss of clay. If I'm doing a silicone mold, if I am doing like a plaster or resin mold or an epoxy mold, I do tend to lose little bits of clay, and then I have to sit there and I have to like clean it and stuff like that. But usually with silicone molds, all I need to do is put them in the freezer, and then they pop out perfectly, and then I have a mold that's essentially ready to go. But that's basically it. So I'm just gonna sit and repeat that process for all of these. And so if you ever wonder why my Zabrak horns are as expensive as they are, keep in mind what I told you about that story about how I have people who 10 years later still have my Zabrak horns. Like it's you're buying things that are not going to easily go bad or be lost or anything like that. And then the other time is like, that took me about 45 minutes to just sculpt that one. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's basically 2 full days of work just to sculpt them. And that doesn't even count the molding and waiting, like mixing and making the mold and waiting for it to cure, and then the material cost of the horns themselves. And then every time I make a set of Zabrak horns, they are hand painted and unique. So There's a lot of love that goes into my Zabrak horns and a lot of attention to detail. So hopefully that gives you like a really nice overview of what it looks like for me to go from little poop shape to medium roughed out horn shape to nicely textured horn. It gives you kind of like a glimpse behind the mirror of mold making. So it does look really good. Where's my chocolate? Chocolate.
Is that chocolate or is that clay?
It was chocolate. It was chocolate.
Okay.
This time,
right? Yeah. So let's see when your next stream is. So I do have it on the calendar. I'm just going to double check it real fast. So next stream is going to be August 14th at 5 p.m. usual time. And the next stream for Cause Talk Live is tomorrow. I'm doing Mass Effect 2. But yeah, other than that, you'll find Amber again in a month's time, August 14th. Yeah. And
August 14th, Thursday afternoon. I don't know what I'll be working on. I'll decide the day before.
I might join you and work on something too. I am so behind for Dragon Con. So
I do, after this summer, I do want to try and get into bi-weekly because it's nice to just like touch base with everyone. I'm looking at potentially doing less structured streams. Like this stream, I'm like, okay, I've got an hour. I want to kind of like do like a mini lesson. But there are times that I just need to stand for a couple hours and people want to hang out while I'm doing that, then that might be an option going forward. We'll have to see. So.
All right.
But yeah, if you guys want to see that, let Cause Talk Live know, comment, if that's something you would be interested in hanging out with me and Sam while we talk about how my clay looks like chocolate and poop, which is concerning that those are both right there.
I know.
Relevant. Like,
and you can find Amber, AmberBriteProps.com. Amber has all of the social media there.
I have every social media except
props and
Tumblr.
Prizes and all not prizes, props and photos. There's too many keywords.
Props, prizes, projects, and I don't know.
Yeah,
photos. So that's a soft P and not a hard P, but still counts. I like it. But yeah, you guys, if you guys are interested in egg and Kohler, these will be up on my Etsy at the end of either this week or next week. Probably the end of next week because I've got a lot going on this week. But yeah, if you want a set for yourselves, you saw it sculpted here. So check out my Etsy. I'm also working on more creature armor. And then the big headpiece that I'm going to be working on towards the end of fall is going to be a Chagrian. So yeah. Yeah, that's going to be my next one.
They're the aquatic people.
And these guys.
With the weird talon that comes out of their
control. And I will be doing the headpiece with the horns. So yep. So if you want to be a cool Chagrian, check out my social media for that as I get closer to sculpting that and releasing it. And then after that will be probably new Leku, including silicone Leku. And then after that will be either Nautilin or Togruta. I haven't 100% decided. But then whatever I don't do towards the end of next year is going to be the big push for the end of next year. So that's just kind of the overall plans right now. Horns and stuff like that. Chagrian, Twi'leks, all sorts of fun stuff. But should be good. Lots of stuff going on. But yeah, like Sam said, if you want to hang out tomorrow, she's going to be playing Mass Effect. As for me, I will see you August 14th. And thank you all so much for hanging out. I appreciate you.
Bye, everybody.